into the 2016 StarCraft 2 KeSPA Cup here live at the Nexon Arena. We are about to jump into our winner's match of the night. It is Pet versus TY.
Yeah, an unlikely candidate here was Pet, one of the underdogs of the group, but it's not the first time in this tournament we've seen this happen. With how well TY played the last match, I feel like he is the favorite, but Pet is able to study what TY is doing. What we saw from TY on New Gettysburg, obviously, is something that really threw True off, but he's able to see that now. Let's look at these bans. He does not ban Gettysburg. In fact, TY will first pick that again, so I'm starting to feel like we're going to see Mech again. Frost is the counter pick from Pet, and then we're going to see Galactic Process to round it out.
There's no DOS on station veto. After yesterday, they're like, no, you got to get that map out of here. It's like, you just don't even have to veto that one. No, and more likely, TY probably just vetoed it and they didn't put it up.
Yeah,
maybe because it's obvious, but yeah, New Gettysburg to start, Frost, Galactic Process, lots of big maps, in fact, all the three biggest maps in the pool, and
it's what TY wants, I think, and
yeah,
really curious to see what Pet is going to do on his map choice, Frost, here, because I feel like Frost is one of the easiest maps in the pool to hold three bases, get a fourth up if you're trying to play this mech style that TY has shown us so far today. I'm excited, though. I think Pet could do this. I mean, he just watched TY's style. Perhaps he's got the counter in mind. And for him to get out of the group in first place would be yet another somewhat Cinderella-esque story.
Yeah, it definitely would be here. Can Pet pull it off? Or will TY shut down his hopes and dreams? Let's jump into game number 1 on New Gettysburg.
뉴 게티즈버그로 떠납니다.
Here we are on map number 1, New Gettysburg, to start the winner's match. Up in the bottom left, rather, in the purple, the Zerg player, surprising everyone today, it is Pet.
And his opponent to the bottom right in green, showing us some mech in the TVZ matchup. It is TY. Not going to go gas first this time, but in the previous series he did not either. He made a small Marine force, then went into the mech to throw True off. Unlikely he'll do that again, because I think for Pet that's pretty predictable already since he literally just watched the matches. At least he should have been. Interesting fact, by the way, Neeb told us he did not watch the first match where he was off. He just practiced instead, which is pretty unusual. But if you do that, obviously you stay warmed up, but at the same time you don't get extra valuable information. So definitely something to keep in mind, which is pretty interesting, again, making his run even further impressive.
Yeah, I mean, his coach could have watched the games instead and maybe just told him what was going on and, you know, tell him some key things. Do you think there's any chance that TY switches back into just a normal bio style to throw Pet off and maybe just say, hey, I think I'm a better player than you, and, you know, I'm going to try to just go back to that? Or do you think he's going to stick with what he's practiced here?
That's a really good question. I think that, to be honest, I think he will do mech on this map specifically. If he's going to switch, it perhaps will be on Frost. But because he chose this map and Galactic Process specifically, I think he will mech here. He seems to be really into this idea. Although, as I say that, he grabs a reactor here, so he's not going for a quick factor. Remember, he did not go for gas first this time. We'll see how quickly he takes his second gases. I guess to answer your question, let's just wait and see. There's definitely a possibility of that, you know, which would further be a bigger mind game here for Pet.
And on Pet's side of things, I was wondering if, you know, I thought he would do one of two things, which is some kind of all-in down the bridge, or he's like, okay, you want to go mech? Let me take like the earliest fourth base ever and just go super greed mode. And maybe say to himself, like, if I get far enough ahead and greedy enough ahead, because TY doesn't really put on all that much pressure early on with this mech build, maybe I can just get ahead that way. We do see
the devil.
yeah, a very early Roach Warren and only Lings coming out here. So he's going to pick the former, the first idea I had in mind, and go for a Roachling all-in, it seems.
And TY is going to take that same fast third base. Obviously, with the Roach Warren and the no Overlord speed, this is not going to be scouted, but I think that basically Pet is doing this blind. In fact, he is. You know, I mean, this is not even an I think. This is clearly blind, but He's taking a risk based on what he's already watched and studied from the previous series of TY. And look, we saw the prep from Pet versus Hero. It was incredible. Now we're seeing, how he's already adapting to TY's playstyle. Clears SCVs at the third base to make sure TY knows, or doesn't know rather, that he doesn't have a third. He can't kill this Reaper, but if he does, he'll 100% deny information, and he's going for it right now. The Reaper shouldn't be able to escape here. And this is really well done, because now TY doesn't know that there's no third base. He's not going to know there's roaches there. He's not going to have any scouting.
One more hit will do it. The rest of the lanes are just going to go by, but I think he's going to wait. He wants the roaches to come in. He wants to kill this Reaper, wants to make sure this is totally unscouted.
One more scratch, and down it goes. And the key is, even if he didn't kill it, he just denied information for a long enough time. No bunker here for TY. His trademark siege tank is gone as well. He might make one. I think that's a tech lab he's making made on his factory. We have the
scan goes down, and he sees no drones there at the natural. Only on 22 right now is Pet. He does have the third CC already about to, become an orbital here. So if he can just hold off the top of the ramp, I think he thinks this is a Ling Bane all-in just based off of the engineering phase.
Yeah, he definitely does. You're absolutely correct. But now that he sees the roaches, he's going to cancel that one, at least one of them here. eBay is the fastest building hit point per second structure the Terran has. That's why he makes eBays instead of barracks or depots to wall guys. And we're going to see the roaches here kind of outrange, not outrange the Marines, but outrange the wall, right? He has Ravagers now too, so TY's micro will really be tested here. But as you mentioned, if he holds this, he has 3 CCs, so he wins the game if he doesn't die here, essentially.
Yeah. Pretty much, and if you remember back in the day, and up until now, TY is one of the best at holding off all-ins. He's got the tank. That engineering bay is very, very low, though, and tons of Lings spill in.
There's not enough units here, though, I feel. The Marines alone may just simply be able to hold this. As the Viking on the low ground doing extra damage, too, and that is going to stop the push, and that should be game. He was able to transition a little bit versus Hero after doing an all-in, but don't be fooled. There's no transition here.
Yeah, won't be fooled again, and now he lands this second, or rather that's the third orbital. He could maybe even land the other one, but I think at this point he needs to confirm that Pet is not going for a follow-up all-in. But at this point, not seeing any follow-up units here, he probably can know at this point. Pet did drone up pretty heavily once he saw, once he forced TY to lift the orbital, so he's got a decent count, but his third base is so late, his tech is like nothing right now. And TY's got a pretty sizable army at this point.
Because of the rallies, and this is something that happens sometimes when you're really microing your attack, the rally on the Overlords, they rally the same as the units, which means they're out there to be killed by this Viking. So the Viking's getting serious value right now. Only gets 2, but still, that is very annoying. He's going to get supply blocked with this kill. And had he not pulled the other ones back as quickly, he might have lost more. This is just a reaction from TY where he's like, yep, a lot of times when the Zerg's all in, they don't change the rally or they don't move their overlords back. I'm going to get these for free. He's going to move across a bridge because he's that ahead that this isn't even a risk.
There's only Queens.
Yeah.
He doesn't have any other attacking units, as long as you're not counting drones, obviously. 3 larvae here. Even though he's got a bank, once those overlords pop, he's still not really going to be able to make much.
Creep is cleared here easily. At third base, he's not even going to go for it. He's going straight for the natural with these 2 siege tanks. And TY will crush this army, or rather the lack thereof, these 3 queens easily. Killing Larva with the Widow Mine. And that is going to be game. It's lights out here. The all-in failed. TY was able to scout it, albeit at the last second. GG!
TY taking game number 1 in very easy fashion. That's like... TY is the best at holding all-ins. That was one of the easiest he's ever had to hold it in his life. And now Pet is going to get a talking to here from his coach. And I don't know. I thought it was an okay idea, right? But even just the hold, maybe he overcommitted. Maybe he should have just waited at the bottom of the ramp, try to deny as much mining time at that natural as possible. Force him to make a second tank, force him to slowly push out while he takes his third base, and do stuff like that instead. I think would have been better instead of committing to the attack. But I think he saw blood in the water, and he killed the engineering bay. And he's like, oh, I got a chance, and then he just got wrecked by too high of a Marine count.
Well, here we go. We're going into Frost here. I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. In game number 2, this is Pet's map choice, and he chose it against a player who's known for doing back. He must have something planned here, some sort of counter or another all-in.
Yeah, no doubt. So, guys, let's jump into game number 2 now between Pet and TY.